Welcome to the DCU Sports Grounds in Dublin for the Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup semi-final between DCU Dochas Éireann and the holders UCC. DCU Dochas Éireann have never won a Fitzgibbon Cup. It's something they'd love to do, and it's been a great couple of weeks for the college in a sporting sense. They won an Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup title, they've won a Collingwood Cup title in soccer, so they'd love to add this as well. But they've got to get to the final, and to get to the final they have to beat a very, very decent UCC team. I'm joined by former Fitzgibbon Cup winner with UCC, Nicky English. Nicky, what are you expecting from today's match?
Hi Ocean, I'm expecting a great game. You've even heard DJ Carey, who's Carlo awaiting the final, describing these two teams as the big teams in the competition this year. You know, UCC are champions, and they had a great game last year in the semi-final at the same stage with DCU, went to extra time down in Waterford, and DCU had plenty of chances to win that game. You know, arguably on paper UCC looked to be the better team, but Fitzgibbon Cup is not won on paper, it's won in, you know, in sometimes tough conditions, and we see very, very tough conditions here today. There's an unbelievable wind blowing across the field, likely to get wetter as we go along. So really, if this is close, it'll come down to the team with the greatest desire, and I'm expecting a huge battle here.
The wind and the rain to come will be the dominating factors in many ways. How tough is it for players out there to I suppose, play in those conditions?
Well, I think first of all it's hard to describe how strong the wind is, and it's blown across the field into our faces here. I think wind is really the most difficult issue for hurlers normally. It's very hard to judge the ball. There'll be I'm sure there'll be plenty of wides from both sides, and if the rain comes, it's quite cold as well, then the touch will be less assured. There'll be more rucks, and you know, but that's the typical Fitzgibbon hurling. That's the conditions it's normally played in Ocean, and you know, you have to expect that this time of the year, and both teams will have, you know, they'll be up for it, but it'll be the team really that'll be up for it the most. You know, DCU look very physically powerful to me, and it'll be interesting to see. They have the home advantage, which often is very, very telling in these games as well.
Well, let's have a look at the teams as we have them. DCU Dochas Éireann, the hosts, while Oisin Foley is between the sticks from Wexford. Paddy Smith is a very strong fullback. Evan Shefflin was part of the Ballyhale team that recently won the All-Ireland club title, and of course you've got Damien Reck in the centre of the park from Wexford alongside, well, we thought Derek Gray, but a late change there is Donald Burke coming in. I'm not sure he'll start in midfield, but he can get points from that area if he drifts back there. Up top, James Bergham was absolutely brilliant against WIT in the quarter-final a couple of weeks ago. Again, another man who's had a great time with his club. Jim Ryan, well capable of getting goals if he gets the ball in hand close to goal. And of course, Rory O'Connor from Wexford, an established inter-county star. He'll pop frees over all day, even in these conditions. For UCC, well, it's a stellar lineup for them, isn't it? You've got the strength of Owen Murphy, you've got the craft of Niall O'Leary, and you've got the brilliance and the speed of Mark Coleman. Andrew Casey, a very solid performer in midfield as well for them. Up front, Shane Kingston, he's a goal getter, scored a goal against Waterford in the league a couple of weeks back. They didn't do enough to win that game, but they came close. Beat his teammate Mark Keogh from Tipperary last week in Porky Queeve in a really good and entertaining match, and Mark Keogh, a really strong player. Robbie O'Flynn at wing forward, he'll provide a bit of pace. And of course Shane Conway from Kerry, the player of the year last year. Well, let's have a look at some of the players up close and personal. Rory O'Connor from Wexford, he could be the difference for DCU Dochas Éireann today, Nicky. Rory
O'Connor's an outstanding player, and he's experienced now in Fitzgibbon. You know, he's got stronger, and this guy, you know, he's deadly from frees, but you know, he's really scoring forward. You saw last year in the All-Ireland semi-final, you know, he was very, very good for Wexford, and you could say that really when himself and John O'Connor went off towards the end, it didn't help their cause. But Rory particularly is he's a very promising player, and you know, has strengthened up and got very physically strong.
Well, there's some strong players on the UCC team as well, including Shane Conway from Licksnow in County Kerry. We know how pacey he is, we know how skillful he is, but maybe what we don't talk about on occasion is how strong he is.
Yeah, he had a brilliant year last year. He was, as you say, player of the tournament in the Fitzgibbon Cup. Just absolutely, you know, his skill level, but he's experienced now as well, holds on to the ball well, and brings the rest of that forward line into play around him. And you know, they really do have outstanding players in the forward line and very dangerous players, the likes of Shane Kingston. Be interested to see how Mark Kehoe, he was impressive for Tipperary last week, and in the last, actually when introduced in all the championship matches for Tip last year, and he's held in high regard in Tipperary. See, UCC are playing from left to right here in front of us, and Paddy O'Loughlin, huge player as well, hugely strong man from, I hadn't been as close to him before, from Kilmallock and Limerick, but he's a very strong guy at centre back for them.
Very, very strong player, and that inter-county experience is so important. As we saw maybe in the last game, IT Carlow, with that bit more experience than Mary I, and it told in the end. Shane Conway pucking away and practicing his frees. A good crowd at DCU Sports Grounds for this one, despite the really, really cold conditions and the worsening weather conditions. DCU Docus Éireann, the guys who aren't starting, taking their place on the bench, and it's tough to be a sub today because you've got to stay warm, and it's nigh impossible in these conditions.
Well, home advantage proves powerful as well. I'd prefer to be a sub for DCU than a sub for UCC, because the strong breeze is blowing right in here into the faces of the UCC subs right here under us.
Fergal Horgan is the referee. He generally...
Yeah, I don't expect too many frees here. I think Fergal Horgan is one of the most experienced and best referees in the business, and as you say, he does like to let it run.
So here we go. The Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup semi-final between DCU Docus Éireann and UCC. Is it a grudge match? Is it a rematch? Remember, these two met last year, and UCC won down in WIT. But DCU would have had one or two complaints about one or two of the calls. To be fair to Owen Roach, the DCU manager, he was talking during the week and he said, look, they were the better team and they deserved their win. Dara Fitzgibbon zips one over the crossbar, and that's a really, really good point.
Good start for UCC. Again, Dara Fitzgibbon, just great pace in this guy. Himself and Coleman there in the middle of the field. As you talk about experience and inter-county experience, none more. They're young players, but a huge amount of experience.
So UCC hit the front. Good point from play from Dara Fitzgibbon. We know both teams have goals in their locker. That's cleaned up really well by Paddy O'Loughlin. So strong, gets it back to Hurley. Well gathered. Robbie O'Flynn uses his pace. Played for Cork in the league this season so far. Robbie O'Flynn, it tails off, and you can already see, Nicky English, how the breeze is affecting things.
Big impact by the wind on that ball, but Robbie O'Flynn did well. He carried it at the DCU defence there. He had caught it twice, so he had to hit it off the Hurley, but didn't allow for the wind.
Strong puck out from Oisín Foley of Wexford. Fergal Horgan has spotted. There was a little push, and it will be a free in.
Yeah, you can see for UCC there, Paddy O'Loughlin is playing centre, has dropped back to play centre back and have an additional defender, and at the other side, DCU have an additional defender as well. It's kind of typical of Fitzgibbon hurling.
Rory O'Connor, the lights are on for this game. It's quite dark, the clouds overhead looking menacing as Rory O'Connor tries to get the equaliser, and does, and that's a good strike, because in these conditions no free is an easy free.
Definitely not, and you have to strike it really, really true and strike it well, and he did that.
UCC trying to move it through the lines and almost caught James Bergen of Connacht Shamrocks. Not involved with Kilkenny at the moment. You do get the sense it is a matter of time, and again it tails off. In
fairness to James Bergen, he did the right thing. He was wide on the professional side, you could say.
So there is such a thing as a good wide.
Well, there is. Well, that's a.
It's okay if it goes to the far side.
I'd excuse him for that. No, well, in a day like today when the wind is blowing across, there really is no excuse for hitting it wide on the easy side, if you like, or the side where the wind is going to affect it most, as Robbie Flynn did. But in the case of Bergen, that was hit wide on the right hand side of the post, which was the right side.
Conor Burke, Brian Ryan from Limerick. We've already seen a Limerick team beaten today, and it goes wide again.
And that's a bad wide, Oisín.
Chasing after this one, Conor Burke. Very strong Conor Burke from St. Vincent's. Good slot out there from Furman. O'Connor chasing after it, but it's intercepted easily by Niall O'Leary. But only as far as a DCU man who looks to punish them. And that is another wide. This time it's John Donnelly from Kilkenny.
Difficult, I mean, just proving how difficult conditions are. You know, John Donnelly tried to do the right thing, just the wind didn't bring it in enough for him. But UCC putting themselves under pressure, playing the ball short out of defence, and DCU have been able to gather possession, but they haven't been able to capitalise on it just yet.
Brilliant win of the ball for Conor Boylan. Paddy Smith so strong, wins it back in a very crafty manner. Oisin Foley. Foley with the skipper. He's looking inside for Jim Ryan, and Jim Ryan is fouled. Jim Ryan ploughed through the WIT defence to get a goal the last day. In fact, the decision has gone the other way.
Yeah, I think Fergal Horgan judged that he played the hurley, or he was behind Robert Downey coming out there. Downey's currently starting as full back for Cork, so you know he's very able practitioner in that position as well.
Paddy O'Loughlin launches it. Smith tries to tidy it up, needs a bit of help. That's really good tidy play by Conor Burke.
Yeah, Conor Burke has started very well, he's got on a lot of ball.
Donnelly back to help out the defence, trying to link play. Has a look up. Steps is the call. I think he just about got away with that one. It's a crossfielder. He's looking for James Burke from Naas in County Kildare, but runs out of space and Burke couldn't quite get there. We were talking about him when we covered the quarter-final. What an amazing story James Burke had. Was in an induced coma, and a couple of months later helped Kildare win a Christy Ring Cup. Here's Dara Fitzgibbon. Great crossfield ball, brilliant take as well from Shane Kingston. It's an awkward bounce, but Foley handles it well. Shane Kingston's dad Kieran is here watching him today.
Good chance for Shane Kingston actually, you know, at his level that should have been going over the bar.
It's very obvious with DCU Dokers here, and they don't particularly want to puck it long, do they? They're trying to keep it short, which is dangerous against this UCC team. They're strong enough to break that kind of movement down. Brian Ryan this time does go long, looking for James Bergen. Bergen is being pursued by Killian O'Dwyer from Killaloe.
And a free, and I think against Killian O'Dwyer, pushing the back really. Bergen was really going nowhere there. He was facing into the corner, and a cheap free to concede by Killian. But again, it's not an easy one to score, and it'll take a bit of scoring from Rory O'Connor. But you know, we've seen, you know, a lot of short play around the midfield. In that case, Brian Ryan sent the ball into the corner. We've seen John Donnelly previous to that hitting the ball, and then the wind is taking it right over to the sideline, and even the forwards, when they do get it, they're getting it under pressure. So I think they might be better off in some cases to shoot.
Rory O'Connor scuttered that one a little bit.
Yeah, again, you see he's trying to hit it very low into, you know, he's basically hitting it into the wind, and you know, it's again the risk of repeating ourselves. The conditions are brutal here.
Sent long out of defence by UCC. Tidied up again brilliantly by Conor Furman. That wind is getting stronger, and it was pretty strong earlier on for the first game. It's also getting a lot colder. The temperature wasn't too bad for the first game. Mark Coleman coming forward. Coleman was looking into the far corner for Mark Keogh, but instead it will be Shane Kingston up against Paddy Smith. Kingston trying a little step, did well initially, and did well all through, because he's got the point.
Yeah, Paddy Smith is going to really have to tighten up on Shane Kingston. There's plenty of room in front of him. His first touch wasn't fantastic there, but he was trying to get back onto the right side. I'm not sure he fancies it just as much on the left side, but that time he got it right inside the post.
So 2 points to 1 UCC lead. From the far corner, Donald Burke of Nafina, the club that's just down the road, hits it wide.
Yeah, the wide's just mounting up all the time for DCU.
Ball launched long by Hurley. Really good catch by Robbie O'Flynn. Robbie O'Flynn moved it back to Paddy Goodell. And was there a foul inside on Mark Keogh? I think there was. Fergal Horgan spotted it, and the free is given in.
Yeah, again, in a very scoreable position, and just can't afford to concede frees in that position. You know, Mark Keogh, he had a lot to do even if he did win the ball, but just pushing in the back like that can't make any sense.
Sometimes as a defender you'll get away with that, sometimes it is spotted.
Yeah, but you know, DCU have had a lot of possession, and you know, they're facing into being 3 points to 1 down now, and after 10 minutes, or nearly after 10 minutes, you know, it's poor reward for the amount of play they've had.
Conway. Well, that's about as easy as it can get on a day like today. Conway pops it over. His first of the game. Fitzgibbon, Conway and Kingston all scoring so far. 3 big names. There isn't a top-tier county out there that wouldn't love to have Shane Conway, and that is said with the greatest respect to Kerry. It's being launched by Brian Ryan. Carries too far.
DCU becoming a little bit aimless there now. Brian Ryan, the last time, tried to put it into the corner. I criticised him for that. I actually wouldn't have stopped him, or wouldn't have been given out about him having a shot there, but he really didn't hit with any great conviction or confidence.
Well, had DCU Dockersaran lost to WIT in the last round, then Shane Conway of UCC would be up against his county manager today, Vincent O'Connor, the manager of WIT, also the manager of Kerry. Kerry with a good win against Offaly last weekend. Conway apparently in class again. That's a poor ball out of defence, and it's James Bergen. Bergen snipes and hits it wide, and I know the wind is bad, and I know he was under pressure, but he'll be disappointed with that.
No excuse for that. Very poor ball by Paddy O'Loughlin. That's been a couple of times UCC have really gifted great chances, and Bergen had a very simple point chance.
Really good catch by Conway. Low delivery to Keogh. Shoveled up for Dara Fitzgibbon, who has to shake off the tackler. Conway gets away from Ryan. Conway goes to ground and wins the free in.
Good play by UCC, and Conway, you know, central to that, winning the ball, getting a good ball. Robbie O'Flynn had a good catch, getting it over to him, and you know, they used the ball well. He's back around to take the ball back from Flynn as well, or from Darren Fitzgibbon, and create an easy free chance for him. If anything is easy today.
An unusual lift of the ball, but it worked all the same. Conway tips it over.
Yeah, nice. At the same time, it's very very smooth, and the strike is very clean, and that's what you want.
Cleared by O'Loughlin. Good take by Conor Boylan.
Conor Boylan's uncle Mick has won 4 Fitzgibbons for UCC. Great chance here.
Oh, here's Kingston. Has to rise it now to get around Paddy Smith. Kingston! I think the keeper might have got something on that. That was a really good save, and a really important save, because had DCU conceded a goal now, I'm not sure even at this early stage there was any pegging a team like UCC back.
Particularly in these conditions, and I think you're right. I think the goalie got his leg to this. Hard to judge from that.
Yeah, brave stop by Foley.
Be interested to see which way the line ball is. It's a UCC ball.
Dara Fitzgibbon chips it in behind, looking for Keogh. Keogh found him. Keogh was found, but it was too casual. Rory O'Connor. Lee Gannon. That's intercepted, and easily so, by Conor Boylan, who goes to ground, and it's a free in. And UCC are very much on top here, Nicky.
Very much on top now, and actually getting the scores on the scoreboard and capitalising on that dominance. But that was poor there by Lee Gannon. He's hurling, left him down there. Really, he was trying to get an easy pass out, but it was still inside their own half, DCU, and they had at that stage about 4 passes, and really there wasn't a whole lot of movement up front for them. Paddy O'Loughlin is sitting back for UCC, and they're very well structured, and Shane Conway doesn't let him down. That's
a fantastic score from Conway. His third already, all from frees.
Yeah, they've settled much better, much more confident. You know, DCU are making much more mistakes, and the Whites have kind of eaten into their confidence.
Conway with 3 in a row for UCC. DCU launching it, but it's, I won't say aimless, it is hopeful though. Here's Donnelly. They do have the strength up there to win the ball, but UCC not bad in defence. They get a free in here, a bit of a loose chop from Griffin.
Yeah, Donnelly is, they're big, they're strong, DCU, but but they haven't been able to create the space up front. And this is a critical free enough now for Rory O'Connor. He missed the last one, and this is in these conditions not easy.
Pops it over, a needed score. Three points is the gap in really cold and windy conditions. It's a good run by Damien Reck. Here's Rory O'Connor, pops it back to Reck. Excellent hook, brilliant stuff from Niall O'Leary. Marauding out Paddy Cadell. He's very strong, Cadell, but he's lost the ball. Damien Reck on it again. Shane Reck, part of the IT Carlow team that beat Mary I earlier on. You can watch that game back. O'Flynn presents it for Fitzgibbon. Shane Kingston fancies a goal here maybe. Kingston does the dance again. Kingston! Great save by Foley, but Smith put him off on a little bounce, and then Smith regathers and gets it down the line to Evan Shefflin. Shefflin showed an unusually heavy Donnelly looking for Rory O'Connor. O'Leary didn't give up on that one, but DCU have it back. Rian McBride. Wide again is the shout from just in front of us. The UCC mentors are there, and they're absolutely right.
Yeah, you see, there's really no great conviction to that strike from Rian McBride. They need plenty of time, but they're just hanging in there, DCU. They need to get some scores, and Paddy Smith, and a combination of Paddy Smith and the goalkeeper did a fantastic job to keep Shane Kingston out with that last attack.
It's a rolling ball presented for Conor Boylan. Tries to turn his man. The stick in there from Evan Shefflin. John Donnelly over this one. As you said before the game, Nicky, this could be decided on who actually makes best use out of the rucks. Robbie O'Flynn, just like the Aviva Stadium today. Here comes Brian Ryan. Brian Ryan got it to Donnelly. Donnelly across. Breaks to Bergen. Has had a couple of shots already. That one looks a little better than the last couple. That's a really good strike by James Bergen.
Yeah, that's better from Bergen, and very good here in front of us. Work by DCU to win the ruck and create the chance for him.
Two in a row for DCU. Well, the conditions, as we've been saying across the start of this game and all throughout the last one, are really poor, and that does play havoc with the satellite and communications and all that. So if you are getting breakup, we do apologise for that, but we're against the elements. There's not much we can do about it. Now, speaking of against the elements, although I used that line in the last game as well, here's Shane Conway.
Yeah, and easy again, free conceded by DCU.
But is it easily scored?
Yeah,
of course it is.
He's been absolutely dead on, Shane Conway. When he stands over the ball, you have a lot more confidence in him than you would have with the DCU efforts at the other side.
6 points for UCC, 4 of them from Conway frees, and an easy free given away by UCC this time.
Yeah, and John Donnelly he's been working very hard in that area for DCU, and win his frees, winning ball, and Rory O'Connor coming back out to take it. But again, not much in it. In general play, there's very little in it, and DCU have arguably created as much, if not better, chances than point chances than UCC have, but they've been failing to take them. So a lot to play for here yet, and the sides are fairly well balanced now.
Rory O'Connor from right out the country. Hits it wide.
It's very difficult. It seems to be more difficult at this end, on our left here, because the wind is coming from across from the right.
Shane Conway with a lovely shuffle. It's opened up for him. Conway from play this time.
That's a brilliant play by Shane Conway. He created it. That's Evan Shefflin. He was coming away from there. He was able to get his ball jink around him and then into the elements just over the bar. outstanding play, and he's been excellent all day.
Look inside.
Here's Mark Keogh. 4 around him. Keogh still going. He's so powerful. He'll fancy a goal here. Too weak. UCC turn it over again. O'Flynn zips it over.
Much more skillful players in the forward line from UCC, and Robbie O'Flynn has been good since the game started. Conor Boylan did very well there, you know, to win that ball after, you know, Mark Keogh's, you know, shot was quite weak and was cleared out.
But again, it's a 3-in-a-row run for UCC of scores. David Griffin coming forward. That's let go by Kingston. Oh, that's a mighty score.
Yeah, great score by Shane Kingston. You know, he judged the win perfectly, but fairness to David Griffin, he did very well to beat John Donnelly for the ball and create the chance, and you know, UCC have opened a nice gap there now.
6 points the gap. It's a huge gap in these conditions as well, Mickey.
It's definitely, particularly the way DCU are squandering chances at the other side, and we see another kind of ridiculous free conceded by DCU, and they're playing into UCC's hands just now, and a goal would make it very, very, very tricky for him.
O'Loughlin goes as long as one can in these conditions. He was aiming for Keogh, and more by accident than design he's found him because it went under the body of Furman. Keogh looking for Kingston, who's covered by Smith. Smith did really well there.
Yeah, Conor Burke had nowhere to hit it when he looked down there. He had a quick look, and you know, UCC are completely down there. Bergen has done well to win it, actually.
Bergen has a look at the options. He's going to go for it. It might drop in. It could be dangerous. Oh no, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful score by Bergen. He's second.
He's the most reliable option, really, that DCU have to score at the moment. And again, that wasn't easy now off his left side, and to try and judge the win and get it over there, and a score that they badly needed.
Well, UCC had got 4 points in a row before that, so DCU Docus desperately needed it. Kingston pulled back by Smith, and a free in, and right in front of the ref.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, like, Shane Kingston didn't have the ball. The ball was on the ground. Even if he did win it, he had a lot to do to achieve anything with it. And Paddy Smith just gives away a needless free. And Shane Conway has been punishing him all day from nearly from this exact spot. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't do it again.
So Shane Conway. There is a bit of a swirl in that breeze, by the way. It's not kind of straight down the pitch or anything. It's more across the pitch.
Doesn't impact that one very much because he's just striking him very cleanly and straight through the heat of the breeze.
UCC into double figures. That was an excellent take. Now can they take the score along with it? Really good point.
Yeah, that was a good score now. They needed that, but a great take, and maybe they just need to be a little bit more direct, and Burke just takes his point.
James Burke, pretty amazing character.
A cheap free conceded in by Paddy Cadell at the other side. So James, you know, a chance again for Rory O'Connor. Game going in kind of little spells of dominance and little cycles here, and DCU on top just now.
So Rory O'Connor with the chance to narrow the gap to 4. Looks to have struck it well enough. Kind of sailed it up into the breeze like a kite.
Yeah, they're hanging in there. You know, look, getting back to 4, and you know, I think if they could get back within 2 or 3 at half time, they'd be happy enough.
Fitzgibbon is over this one. He's wiry, but he's strong. He loses out on this particular occasion.
Yeah, he's great. He's great stride though when he gets the ball running in front of him. With simple hurling mistakes letting DCU down on multiple occasions.
Scooping it up, Mark Coleman. They're trying to find a route through and turning and twisting, but over carrying. And now it's a free in and a bit of a shouldering competition to follow as well.
Yeah, Paddy Cadell, yeah, under pressure there. You know, he's Mark Coleman probably put him a little bit under pressure with the pass back to him, and there was plenty DCU around to bottle him up, and plenty DCU subs to shout at him behind and put additional vocal pressure on him.
Darren Mullen coming in for his clubmate, interestingly enough, Evan Shefflin.
Yeah.
Owen Roach watching on, the DCU manager, former Limerick under-21. That is an interesting change.
Yeah, but Evan Shefflin has been under a bit of pressure here with Robbie O'Flynn. He's been impressive. O'Flynn, he's been quick off the mark. He's won a lot of balls, so maybe Evan Shefflin is injured as well. He looks a bit ginger. He's walking gingerly going out. That's a good score.
Rory O'Connor zips that one over. It was a good score. It was a big score. It was a needed score. Three points in a row for DCU. They've found a bit of rhythm.
Yeah, and Shane Hurley then just putting the puck out over the sideline and, you know, giving them pressure back in on top of themselves again.
So Darren Mullen comes over to take this. I think you are right, judging by the look of Evan Shefflin. He wasn't 100% right. They took a gamble and didn't pay off. They've called it early. Mullen doesn't catch that one particularly well. It was intercepted by Mark Coleman, chipped into the hand of Robbie O'Flynn. Saw him play for his club Erin's Own a couple of years ago, and I thought that guy looks like something special. He was a bit young, a bit raw, but he's got plenty of pace. A silly free to give away.
And that's not Paddy Smith's first silly free now, and there's two in a row he's given away. Conor Burke had that ball covered, and Paddy Smith just takes out. As you can see here, he's shepherding and pushes Shane Kingston out. Shane Kingston was no chance of getting near the ball anyway, and you know, that's particularly with the work they've had to do with the other side to get a couple of frees. That's a very cheap one to concede.
Especially as we say, they had been on a bit of a run.
Probably the most difficult free Shane Conway has approached yet.
Shane Conway, last year's Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup Player of the Year, and he has pulled that one to the near side and wide.
Yeah, the wrong side with the wind coming across there, but yeah, it wasn't the cleanest, as clean as any of the previous frees, and it was just he rushed it a bit.
Machine Foley goes long. Trying to get under it there was Niall O'Leary. O'Loughlin has it for UCC. Back it goes to O'Loughlin. Being really pressurised there by Rian McBride. DCU doing very, very well. Fighting for it also, Donald Burke. And now escaping the shackles is Rian McBride. McBride spills it, intercepted by Lowney. And then cleared with a bit of interest. Darren Mullen's getting under this one. It'll be a line ball to DCU Douglas Erin. Yeah,
better from DCU though. That'll give him encouragement.
Conor Burke. Nice little flick up by Lee Gannon, who lost it. Has to try and get it back again. Scoops it into the path of Conor Burke. Not sure what he was trying to do there. I'm sure he wasn't trying to hit Cadell, but that's what happened. Cadell now sends it in one-on-one. Paddy Smith up against Kingston. And this time Paddy Smith wins that battle. James Burke. It's not James Burke, I beg your pardon. He's also wearing a red helmet. Here's Rory O'Connor. Rory O'Connor getting a big score.
And DCU are growing into this game. They're winning much more possession. I know they've made mistakes as well in the last few minutes and got blocked down, but at the same time they have more possession, and UCC just not looking as relaxed and as smooth as they were.
Broken down brilliantly by Brian Ryan, and then pickpocketed by Conor Boylan. Dara Fitzgibbon doesn't run it this time. He usually does. Kingston just goes under, it might fall for Keogh. Keogh, too tight an angle for him, gives it back to Kingston, who's well covered, finds a bit of space, and has he found a score? Yes, he has. Really good score by Kingston, really well worked by UCC.
Great feat by Shane Kingston just to clear himself and get onto that right hand side, which he favours actually, and he's deadly off that side. Great point.
Three for Shane Kingston so far, and here come UCC again. Battling hard was Griffin. Shane Conway desperate to get there. Lee Gannon in hot pursuit. It is Conway. Gannon holds him up and does about all he can, and Gannon, well, did really well there. It's hard to handle the ball there. Adrian Mullen. Mark Keogh, probably the wrong choice given how covered he was. Rory O'Connor. got away from Boylan. Here's Darren Mullen, back to O'Connor. O'Connor fancies this, the wind-up, the shot.
Oh, the wind really took that one,
really
yeah.
Did, yeah.
So I think it was the right option, but fortunately, just not. I don't know how you could allow enough wind on the right-hand side for the wind not to interfere with that shot.
Paddy Cadell was wrapped up there, got it back out to O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin desperately trying to get this under control and can't. It goes loose. On the chase after it is Brian Ryan, getting a hurley in Dara Fitzgibbon. Dara Fitzgibbon gets it in hand and gets the pass away. It's launched by Niall O'Leary, looking for Mark Keogh. Batted out of the sky and into the path of Conor Burke. Conor Burke fires it long. James Bergen trying to get there. Bergen trying to get away from Lowney. Lovely ball. Here's Darren Mullen. Beautiful score.
Yeah, Darren Mullen has actually done very well since he's come on. You know, he's got on plenty of ball. He's done the right thing with it and picked off his point there. But fairness to Bergen, he's winning every ball that goes into him, and you wonder why DCU don't try that ball longer at times in towards him, because they've been caught with short balls up the wing, putting pressure under John Donnelly at times, and you know they're very hard to control the ball in the conditions here today.
Darren Mullen, you can see it's slippery out there. Paddy Smith just about keeping his feet. And the free given away, and DCU somehow just 2 down. It'll likely be 1 after this.
But certainly during the middle of the half there, where UCC had the run of scores and 4 in a row, I'm sure DCU would have signed for a 1 or 2 point deficit at half time, and it looks like that's what they're going to get.
It was a 6-point lead at one stage, 9-3 when Kingston stuck a point over after 20 minutes. It's been a busy 10 minutes, hasn't it?
Yeah, and DCU have improved. They have, you know, they've grown in confidence.
Rory O'Connor.
There you go, they're back to 1.
1 point game. Rory O'Connor having a stormer, if you'll pardon the expression, in this particular. Obviously you can't see it on camera, but Nicky English has hit me a bit of a dig, and rightfully so. You're like Gary Lineker, English. Everyone thought you were innocent. You were anything but. Conor Boylan. You've got the smile on you that you gave to Clare that time, and they never forgot. Paddy Cadell tries to get it under control. Here's Adrian Mullen.
Yeah, and Adrian Mullen now has come in as well, and that's, you know, he's surely a help as well.
Still fighting for it. There was Rian McBride, but UCC showed their strength and get it back. Then the move breaks down. Here's O'Loughlin, who's tripped. More of a tangle of legs than anything else with Damien Reck, but free out anyway. Can't be too much time left, because this first half has flown.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much injury time, but it's into the 2nd minute.
O'Loughlin, right down the throat of Conor Burke.
Yeah, Darren Mullen is looking for the ball all the time. He's very confident.
Mullen to Bergen, really good.
Much better for DCU. Great score by Adrian. Into Bergen. Bergen is completely on top in there, and every time the ball goes into him, he wins it, and he does the right thing. He scored a couple of good points himself, and that time set up Adrian Mullen for an easy score. Said DCU would be delighted at half time, actually.
Yeah, another 3-point flurry to finish with 3 in a row, 11 points apiece. Who do you think will be the more happier at half time, and why?
Certainly DCU. You know, at a stage in the first half, UCC were completely on top, went 6 points in front, had a couple of goal chances actually, you know, that could really have put DCU away. Paddy Smith did well with the goalkeeper to hold up Shane Kingston. That was a great goal chance. The goalie had a good save from Shane Kingston across the one who went across the goals. So really they were only hanging in at that stage. We've seen Darren Mullen introduced, now we've seen Adrian Mullen coming in for DCU. They both have made a difference, and I'm sure they'll be very, very happy to get in at half-time level, and the opposite the case for Tom Kingston and the UCC mentors. They've a bit of thinking to do at half-time.
Ciarán Heatherton and Owen Roach among the DCU Brains Trust, having a little bit of a chat about the first half and what they might do for the second half. Before we look ahead to the second, let's take a bit more of a detailed look back on the first with some of the highlights. No goals, but some really good scores, including this one from Darragh Fitzgibbon, Nicky.
Yeah, that's Darragh Fitzgibbon at his best when he's running, you know, when he gets a gallop up and he gets the ball off on his left side. And here's Shane Kingston, just, you know, he's been very, very good. Great feet. He throws Paddy Smith off the descent. There's a free from Shane Conway. He was virtually error free, except for the one in the seventh. And here's Kingston. This is a save by the goalie's foot.
Great save.
That actually goes out for a sideline ball. The power of it carried it all the way over the sideline. And then Rory O'Connor started to find his range at the other side. It's Fitzgibbon, and here's the other. Watch Paddy Smith's intervention here. He's able to hold him up and just put him a little bit off to the side, and then a great save after that. But either of those two goal chances for UCC at that particular juncture of the match would have probably put away DCU. But now you see DCU, they started to get into it. This is probably one of the scores of the game. Just Evan Shefflin, maybe, as you could say, maybe he was injured. You know, he was rounded very easily there by Shane Conway. And here's Boylan actually won that ball, and Robbie Flynn, who was causing problems for Evan Shefflin. And that's one of the balls up the line there. David Griffin, you know, beat John Donnelly to create the chance. And but here down at the other side, this guy has been impressing me a lot, James Bergen. That's a very good score. But in that particular area, he was winning a lot of ball. And there's James Burke, good score. And at that stage, DCU started to get a bit of confidence. You know, you see Rory O'Connor getting it onto the left side. You think it's an easy score looking at it there, but with the wind, it's very, very difficult. And similar here, Shane Kingston, he was able to jink away. His feet are fantastic. And there's Darren Mullen, who's made a big impact since he's come on. I've been very impressed with him. He's very, very confident, and he wants the ball. And you know, that's a big difference from the DCU that were there in the first quarter. They were jumpy, and you know, the couple of wides unsettled them, but they have grown in confidence a lot, actually.
So at half-time, it is level between DCU, Docus and UCC, already into the final RIT Carlow. They'll be back here on Wednesday night. It'll be live on the Sport TG Car YouTube page. You'll also be able to watch that game through electricireland.ie/HEC. But who will you be watching? We'll find out over the course of the next half an hour, or possibly more, extra time if required today. Half-time here at DCU Docus. It is DCU Docus 11 points, UCC 11 points. We'll be back with the second half shortly. Welcome back to a windy and now quite wet DCU Docus Éireann for the second half of this Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup. 11 points apiece coming into the second half, and Nicky English, former Fitzgibbon Cup winner with UCC and of course All-Ireland winner as a manager and a player with Tipperary. It's going to be a tough battle in the second half, isn't it?
It really is, but I suppose that's what Fitzgibbon Cups are. That's where the tradition and the history of the Fitzgibbon Cup has been built on. It's in the toughest and the heaviest and worst of weather and pitch conditions, and this is certainly going to match up. The pitch is in fantastic shape actually underfoot, but the wind, the crossfield wind, which is unbelievably strong, hard to actually describe how strong it is accompanied by rain, and this is really going to, it's 11 apiece. I'd say if you got to 20 points in this, either team, the team that'll get to 20 points, I'd imagine will be you're going to have a great chance of winning. So in these conditions, you got to cut down and concede the concession of easy frees, and DCU have been probably more guilty than UCC of that. We've seen Paddy Smith on numerous occasions conceding frees. DCU had momentum going in at half time. The Mullins had been introduced, Darren particularly making a good impact. And just looking at their forwards here now, you have John Donnelly, you have James Burke from Kildare. Most people haven't heard of him, but Adrian Mullen is on, looking lively enough at wing forward and looking strong. And then the two inside is Bergen and Donald Burke. So that's a very potent outfit, and you'd imagine they should be capable of getting 9-10 points. But I think, and I also think I'd prefer to be, even though it's slightly into the breeze, into the cross breeze now, let it be said, I think I'd prefer to be playing the way DCU are, because the ball gets held up a bit, and you have a better, it's in front of the forwards, and you have a bit more space.
Fergal Horgan, the referee, he's done a good job so far, I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely.
The wind causing havoc for all sorts of reasons today, including occasionally with the picture. We do apologise for that, but there is not much we can do. We're up against the elements. But we will drive on. We will endeavour to bring you the rest of this game, whether that's another half an hour or that's another half an hour and 2 periods of extra time and penalties. We're not sure. You would not be surprised when these two come together, especially in recent times. You generally tend to get a close game.
Yeah, Robbie O'Flynn penalised for either over-carrying or swinging back a little bit with the hurley. I don't know, it seemed a little harsh to me.
Rory O'Connor, who was immense in the first half. Great score, Rory, is the shout before it even gets there, and over it goes in DCU lead.
Most right-handed free takers prefer to be hitting it with a little left to right movement in it, so that's an easier free than those ones in the first half.
DCU with a storming start to the second half. I actually didn't mean that as a pun. An attempted shot from Brian Ryan is blocked down. Brian Ryan gets a second bite at it, and Brian Ryan wins the free in.
Yeah, Brian Ryan was lucky actually. He was well blocked down, and but it popped right back to him, and he got away and won the free. And now Rory O'Connor with an easier chance possibly than the last time, and a good start by DCU for the second half.
Rory O'Connor, who got 6 points in the first half, 5 of them from place balls. Already 2 in the second half. That's a really, really good strike.
So early trouble for UCC here, and it'll be interesting to see how they manage and try and create a few scores at the other end.
So much talent out there. Here is John Donnelly, sent down the park by Burke. Bergen muscled off it. O'Loughlin.
Yeah, O'Loughlin in the sweeper role for UCC still.
Hurley. Feel bad for goalkeepers on a day like today because it's very hard to stay warm. Adrian Mullen doing his best to hold up the runner on his way through. That's Cadell, and he's won a free.
Yeah, well, holding up being the operative word. Again, the concession of frees, really, I can't stress enough that if you can cut down and concede the concession of frees here, either team are going to, it's going to be a huge factor. and conditions are so bad. You know, people are under pressure when they have the ball. Players can't really get it away that easily, and you know, it's a great advantage to get a free. So you just got to hold off giving them away.
IT Carlow awaiting the winners. Kyo trying to get under this one, but it's neither a dropping ball or a shot, it's wide.
Yeah, and maybe UCC probably now maybe having the same problems that DCU had in the first half with that wind from right to left, a more difficult shooting proposition.
James Burke trying to get there. Mullen pouring in. Handle on the ground and a free in, and DCU are on top here in the second half so far.
Certainly continuing the same momentum, Oisín, that they had before half-time. You know, they had a lot of possession, they were winning all around the middle third, and that's continued in the early stages here in the second half, and pressure all on UCC.
Wide.
Poor from Rory O'Connor. You know, that would really be twisting the knife in UCC had he been able to put that one over and build up a 3-point gap.
Great catch by John Donnelly. Bottled up.
Yeah, he was trying to get back and get away. He had a chance early to get it away, but in fairness to Conor Boylan, he did well. He's a very strong man, Conor Boylan. He holds him up here and, you know, curbs the urge to foul him and hold him, and did very, very well. And now from a position where Rory O'Connor had a chance to put him 3 ahead, you know, Shane Conway to reduce the gap to 1.
UCC yet to score in the second half. I imagine that anomaly will be corrected now. Conway catches it well. Lovely strike, lovely strike.
That was really well judged. You saw it perfectly coming back across with the wind, but it had to be struck well, or else the wind, that cross-field wind from right to left would have had too much impact on it.
DCU run it. It's Darren Mullen, who's already got one. James Bergen keeps it alive, but Griffin gets the ball in hand. Wasn't particularly tidy clearance, but it might. No, it doesn't work out. Here's James Burke. Burke looking into the corner, and James Bergen chasing back for the Shane Conway.
Yeah, Shane Conway is, you know, he's putting in, working hard all over the place, you know, up and down the line there, and wins a free down at the other side of the field.
Push up, Loney, push up. Strong now, strong. Rory, go back, Rory, go back. Shape, Paddy, shape.
Ball launched inside. UCC, what can they do with it? Nothing. Brilliantly won.
Yeah, Conor Burke has done well all day. He's very strong in that central position for DCU.
Wreck. Foul committed. Free between the 65s. UCC a little loose with their discipline here, just kind of leaving a hand in and tugging back players on the way through. Rory O'Connor tugged back there by David Lowney from Clonakilty.
Yeah, and again, you know, but now they've compounded it here now by complaining to Fergal Horgan, and he's brought it up another 13 metres, and that's you know, the concession of the free was bad enough, but the feedback was worse.
Rory O'Connor looking for point number 3 of the second half, all of them from frees, and he's found it.
You can see Rory O'Connor's free taking style is just not as smooth as Shane Conway's. You know, when you contrast them there, you know, he's more of a jerky style of a strike, and maybe not as just reliable in these conditions.
Donnelly tries to tidy it up and does. Running through now, Conor Furman. UCC get back in numbers. It's very congested in the second half, isn't it? You can understand that because of the conditions.
Yeah, and I think probably as the tension increases, it's probably likely to get more congested, I'd say, as we go along. And again, another silly free, and both sides very just, you know, too guilty of conceding these stupid frees. You know, Darren Mullen just in late there, and you know, easy chance now for Paddy O'Loughlin to get it down the field, looking, and
Paddy O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin launching. And from that distance in these conditions, that was always going to be a struggle.
Yeah, you see, you know, it has to travel too far, and the wind has too much impact on it. You know, you nearly want to be starting that one at the right corner flag to get it on target.
UCC making a change. Michael O'Halloran is coming in. Didn't quite catch who's going off yet, but we will in a second, I imagine.
Yeah, very promising player, Michael O'Halloran from Blackrock. You know, he's on the fringes of the Cork team, and you know this guy can play. I know.
We haven't seen anyone come off.
On the far side of the field.
Oh yeah, would have gone off over there. Paddy Smith. Inside. Really well taken. Fantastic work by Rian McBride. Intercepted.
Yeah, Paddy O'Loughlin sitting back there in the pocket. Very poor strike by Rian McBride, really, from a player of his standard.
Oh, that's left behind. It's dangerous, but tidying up his own error brilliantly was Robert Downey. Fergal Horgan wants a word.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get a yellow card here to Damien Rake, really, for that tap on Paddy O'Loughlin. You can see the impact of the wind on Fergal Horgan. If he lets off that card, it's gone. He'll never see it again.
So the free for UCC. It'll be sent forward by Mark Coleman. UCC with just 1 point so far in the second half. DCU, all of their scores so far in the second period coming from frees, gathered well by Niall O'Leary. But getting in there to nip it away from him was Donald Burke. Robert Downey. That's quite an intense battle on that far side, trying to get over it now. Cillian O'Dwyer.
Yeah, DCU are strong in those battles, really, when they get it on the ground. And you know,
here's McBride. He's after finding Lee Gannon. Lee Gannon tried to guide it out to Burke, but the referee given the free in anyway.
Yeah, and Lee Gannon is nominally corner back, and you see where he's completely up the other side of the field and winning the free there. But again, good work by particularly Donald Burke. Actually, he was the man who kept the pressure on Robert Downey and won the free. You know, won the ruck and, you know, kept pressure on there. And DCU have been impressive in that regard. They've been stronger physically, I think, than UCC, and anytime the ruck has developed, they have actually won it. And the rucks in hurling can be very telling as the game goes on in terms of dominance and momentum.
Rory O'Connor, despite the fact that he's at a tight angle, will fancy this one. And that is why.
Better strike by Rory O'Connor that time, much smoother.
Four frees for him so far in the second half. UCC have hardly troubled the DCU Dockers here in defence, into the hand of David Lowney.
Yeah, again, it's very short. They play very short back here, UCC, and they're, you know, if they don't create the extra man and the man over quickly, then DCU swallow them up. And here we are again, DCU working very hard, and you know, sometimes UCC might be just better off to play the ball in long and in front of Shane Kingston, who hasn't seen a ball since midway through the first half.
Darren Mullen looks up, chips it into the path of James Bergen. Bergen desperately trying to get it in hand. Mullen up in support. Bergen can't get it into the hand. Cillian O'Dwyer wins the free.
Yeah, Cillian O'Dwyer has done well since half time on James Bergen.
There's a bit of space to run into, and DCU Dockers there and have a man down as Robbie O'Flynn motors forward. It's a bit of a nothing ball again from Robbie O'Flynn. Very easy to say up here, I appreciate the conditions, really tough down there.
It was very rushed at the end. He was overcompensating for the win, but really he had, you know, again, no conviction in what he was trying to do. And you know, UCC are very disjointed looking just at the moment, and DCU favourites for me and have taken over now at this stage, and more likely to get to the 20 points, which I think will be the critical number here than UCC look at the moment. UCC looking like they need goals, but then again they have Shane Kingston and guys up like they're, that might be able to get them if they get the ball in Mark Kehoe.
Well, they're about to make another change with Neil Montgomery from Abbey Side in County Waterford coming on. There was a bit of debate as to what they would do and who they would bring in, but DCU giving it away there.
Yeah, Conor Burke acknowledging his error there. He, there was no. It's very difficult to hit it up the right-hand side of the pitch and keep it in play. Interestingly, that it's Conor Boylan that's coming off for UCC. I thought he was doing a very strong job.
Mark Coleman just wants to strike this one and get going again.
Well, one of the best exponents of the line ball in the game.
Good example of it there in tough conditions. A little bit of a trip there, but Keogh gets away with it. Keogh at a tight angle, has O'Halloran inside, chooses to run it rather than strike it. Loses it, tries to get it back, O'Halloran with him again. All the way up there as well, David Lowney with 2 on his back, but playing in the forward line at the moment. UCC pouring numbers in, trying to make something happen. They have the possession. Into the path now of Niall O'Leary. O'Leary with the head down, goes out the way. A block shot, it wasn't bad from Dara Fitzgibbon, who gets it again and then goes right across the face of goal. They'll get another bite of the cherry. Mark Keogh. Keogh with the risky one, which is intercepted by Burke, but he puts it into the path of Kingston, who moves into the path of Lowney. Lowney back to Kingston. Standing in a pocket of space was Michael O'Halloran. O'Halloran does get it and just doesn't get the contact on it. They should have gone to O'Halloran first time, maybe. Yeah,
he had better chance, but DCU are working really, really hard, like to close down the space. Killian O'Dwyer out in front as well, again in front of James Bergen. Bergen recovering.
Did well to try and get it into the path of Lee Gannon. Gannon escaping from O'Halloran, getting a little chop as well, and it's a free in.
Yeah, Lee Gannon, he's come forward a lot and he's done well. He's won the last 2 frees for DCU, and again, poor free given away by Michael O'Halloran. That this is just, can't afford to do that. Time is slipping. You're into the last quarter, or just about to enter the last quarter here. So you're 3 down, and in these conditions, three points is a big lead actually.
Yellow card for Michael O'Halloran. 15 minutes to go. DCU Docus already Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup champions. They would love to add the Fitzgibbon Cup to that because, well, they have 4 or 5 Sigersons, I think, at this stage. They don't have a Fitzgibbon. Rory O'Connor tries to do something about that, and does.
Yeah, the pressure telling on DCU and on the scoreboard. They're capitalising on it. UCC in trouble here. They need to reverse the trend of the last 15 or 20 minutes of this half and the first half. But again, they run themselves into trouble, and it's just overplaying and overcomplicating it.
Neil Montgomery, a crafty forward. He's got a bit of bulk as well. Taken down by Darren Mullen.
Yeah, that's much more direct and much more, easier and less complex from Montgomery to take on Mullen, and when he's free, crosses him there, and Mullen accidentally fouls him, but it's a free that UCC badly need, or assuming Shane Conway scores it, it's a score they badly need, because they've been losing all the rucks. The momentum is completely with DCU, and the Lions share of possession with DCU just now.
Here's Shane Conway, UCC's only scorer so far in the second half. They've got just 1 point. He nails it.
It's a battle of free takers really still, because it's so difficult in these conditions to score, and both of them doing their jobs very well in the second half.
Paddy Smith. Good ball. Is it to be matched by a good strike? No.
It was a fair effort by Donald Burke, in fairness now. Great control, great first touch, and almost impossible to score from there in any conditions, but particularly today. But he made a bold effort at it.
Dara Fitzgibbon squirts it out.
Well, UCC have been, trying to work. They've been running themselves into trouble invariably.
Fitzgibbon looking for Kingston. Kingston up against Smith. They've had quite the battle today. And again, it's Smith who wins it. Michael.
And again,
DCU come away with it.
Yeah, which is become the norm in the rucks in this game.
Their strength really showing. John Donnelly. Darren Fitzgibbon opens it up, gives it to Neil Montgomery, who gets it under control. Montgomery lets it go. UCC looking for a first score from play in the second half, and he gets it. Neil Montgomery nails the point, and the UCC bench, that meant a lot to them. They knew they needed that.
Absolutely, and Neil Montgomery has made a good impact since he came on. He's won the free, very direct. You know, he was able to turn inside there and you know, take his point and reduce the gap to 2.
Great score by Neil Montgomery. This game will just go on and on, you get that feeling. In absolutely bitter conditions, John Donnelly gives it back to Darren Mullen. Mullen, well, there was no one there.
No, again, DCU have actually retreated maybe a bit too much actually now in this period of the game. They've conceded a lot of ball up there to UCC just in the last couple of minutes.
Neil Montgomery took on Brian Ryan and won, but then ran into a bit of trouble. He has it back again here, just kind of scoops it forward. Mark Keogh inside, but only as far as Darren Mullen. Intercepted in midfield, scooped up into the hand of Shane Conway. Conway lost it, in fact. James Burke. What close control by Burke. Burke wants it back, gets it back, hasn't scored in the second half, got a good one in the first. Mark Coleman doesn't let him go, but Burke does get it under control, but his shot isn't particularly good.
Really good skill from James Burke to get the ball into his hand with his foot. For the life of me, I don't know why Damien Reck didn't keep going towards the left-hand side and have a shot off his left.
Paddy Cadell. It's 1 against 2 in favour of DCU back there, but O'Halloran runs onto it. He's got a lot of work to do. He does get his strike away and does get his score.
Great speed by Michael O'Halloran, and both subs that UCC have introduced in the forwards, O'Halloran and Montgomery, having the desired impact for them. Both showing direct style of running and you know, getting the score. And back within 1 again, and scores at a premium here, and every score is going to count now as we head into the last 10 minutes.
Lee Gannon, I think, is down at the moment for DCU Docus-Heron. 1 between them. Tough conditions, impossible to play what you'd call a classic game of hurling in these conditions, but they have served up a battle. It's been intriguing, it's been, it's been intense.
And I suppose just to give, you know, people an indication of the quality of the competition and the quality of the players. That's Bill Sheehan has come on there, number 20, as a sub for Kilkenny, for UCC. You know, he's a regular for Kilkenny on the Kilkenny senior team last year. So, you know, and he's 3rd sub on for UCC. So I'll just tell you how powerful these teams are.
I'm cycling to Croke Park after this. I'm not looking forward to it.
I hope
the cycle. I'm looking forward to Croke Park. I'm not looking forward to the cycle.
I hope you're with the wind.
Great catch by John Donnelly. Donnelly somehow kept it under control for a moment, but then lost it.
He was under a lot of pressure, John Donnelly. Did well to catch it.
Almost got it back there, but gave away the free, a little bit loose, maybe.
Yeah, he tried manfully to get it back, in fairness to him, and you know, it was a great catch, great win of the ball initially, but just he was under pressure. And again, you heard the cry from the UCC bench in front of us, no free, and you know, both sides acutely aware how they must not concede frees in these last few minutes.
1 between them, 8 to go, plus injury time. Sent forward by Coleman. He was directing it to Montgomery, who showed a nice touch inside, but then lost it. Brian Ryan got it back, guided it up to John Donnelly, gave it back to Damien Reck. Damien Reck is fouled by Darren Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, good play by Brian Ryan to get that out. Montgomery has been dangerous since he came on, but Brian Ryan won that ball well. If it's possible, conditions are worsening.
It's always possible to get worse. Brian Ryan launches it. Holding the microphone is even a challenge now in these cold conditions. Well, not for you, Nicky. You were smart enough to bring gloves. A real battle for possession down there.
This one. UCC won it, but Downey's put out into touch, so it's a DCU ball.
Rian McBride standing over this one. Post-match reaction to come after the game. Will that post-match reaction be in about 10-15 minutes, or will it be a little bit more? We'll find out over the course of the next few minutes. McBride intercepted. It's O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin runs into a crowd, has to go backwards, and Shane Conway, look where he is. Oh, luckily for him, the runner was there, and Adrian Mullen battles brilliantly and almost dispossesses the goalkeeper. Eventually it's Mark Keogh who gets it. Why is the goalkeeper out there?
And why is the goal not covered? It's completely wide open. UCC have got someone back on it now.
Damien Reck, cover the goal, was the shout from the sideline. In these conditions it's hard to hear for the players out there.
I think we all knew this match was going to come right down to the wire, and that's exactly what's going to happen here.
Oh, it's pushed over. He had to deal with it, did Hurley. So eventually Donald Burke gets the point.
Surprised that he's even in there. He was so far out the far side for so long, but eventually he got back, and a great intervention. Look, just to tap that, get that over the bar. But DCU back to 2 points in front.
To be fair to him, in these conditions it's really hard to get the ball in hand, so he had to be sure. Here's the strike from Neil Montgomery, which he gets. Probably the point of the Fitzgibbon Cup so far, or one of them.
Definitely, and definitely one of the most important. Anyway, you know, he really under pressure here off his left-hand side. Watch inside the 45. Violent crosswind from coming across there from the right, and it's able to sneak inside the post. He's made a big impact since coming on.
Our team sheet's beginning to disintegrate in the wet conditions. Good run out of defence by Paddy Cadell. Intercepted. Lost, but illegally.
As you can see, the UCC mentors in front of us are Niall McCarthy here is completely angry about that one. He's hardly gone flying here from him, but I think they have a certain justification. It's hard to see what the free was for there.
5 minutes plus injury time to go. Pressure, pressure, pressure is the call. The clearance comes from Conor Burke. Mark Keogh shovels it back outside.
Yeah, Mark Keogh playing much more in a defensive, if not midfield role now in the last few minutes, and you know, having a bit more impact than he had done in the forwards.
Spoke to him at the launch of the Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup, and he said, we know this will be tight. We know if we're to defend our title, we'll have to work incredibly hard. It's not looking for them at the moment, but it is Montgomery who gathers. Montgomery, he's already got 2 off the bench. Montgomery, well, for a second I thought I was going to fly into the top corner, but it didn't, and it remains a 1-point game.
He's been very impressive. Watch this, like this. He did very well to get away the shot, and it's just the wrong side of the post. That was heading to the top corner of the net.
Well, very much part of Liam Cahill's plans, the Waterford manager. They've had a decent start to the league with wins over Cork and Westmeath. Here's Donnelly, who's won a league with Kilkenny. Kind of down over this one.
In fairness to Donnelly, he's won.
Fitzgibbon takes it, but is it off the ground? And then he runs out over the line. I think he got away with 2 there. But eventually he gives it away. Lee Gannon. DCU will claim that's karma. Gannon puts it across towards, well, it took off like it was going to Rory O'Connor. It ended up with Darren Mullen. Cillian O'Dwyer gets it for UCC. O'Loughlin.
Come on, Fitzy.
Lee Gannon. Well taken by Adrian Mullen. Adrian Mullen will get it on the second attempt. Looked like it was handled on the ground. He was leaning on the ball or lying on the ball. It's dangerous in these conditions and this kind of match. The second half has absolutely flown by, driving out as O'Loughlin. Such strength in this UCC team.
It's been unbelievable intensity just now. Both teams given everything here for the last few minutes to get this win.
Rory O'Connor jumped into the tackle but gives away the free.
Yeah, I think Fergal Horgan is correct actually. Rory was really playing for the free, and if anything charged a bit. Watch, he jumps into it, and yeah. Again, they have the 2 point, or they have a point lead.
Driven on by Mark Coleman. Caught by Mark Keogh. UCC looking for an equaliser. Mark Keogh, has he got it?
Looks like he has.
Oh, he has! What a strike from Mark Keogh.
He hasn't had much impact all day, Mark, but that's as big as impact as you can have. The equaliser, just as we're heading towards full time.
At one stage in this game, after 46 minutes, DCU led by 4. An absolute chasm in these conditions. Now it's all square and it's looking like extra time. Is there to be a winner in normal time? Paddy Cadell, UCC the champions. Downey gets it out. Dara Fitzgibbon, he wanted to pull the trigger but he dropped it, and now it's Rian McBride. McBride is surrounded by red and black. Here's Kingston. Kingston drives it in. Fitzgibbon is down injured. Great take by Conor Burke. Gets it out to Darren Mullen. Mullen to the cornerback. That's Conor Furman. This will be a long drive from Donald Burke, which goes wide.
He had more time than I think he realised. Donald Burke, he could have carried that ball at least another 10 yards, but you know, it's hard to believe that the next score won't win it, if there is to be a next score. But UCC have, you know, they have improved a good bit since the subs came on, since Montgomery came on, and Michael O'Halloran, and they're working harder around the middle third, and they've certainly, you know, they've balanced up the act around there, and DCU not winning as much possession, and certainly, you know, it's I suppose about a draw would probably be a fair result at this stage, really.
Well, Montgomery and Keogh have got 2 points in a row for UCC, and now they're level. Dara Fitzgibbon is down. He'd be a huge loss if he was to go at this stage.
It looks like he is gone, actually. The physio saying that he's in trouble, and again, yes, he'd be a huge loss. It looks like he's going to recover, I think.
Lazarus, we're into the red numbers now. I wonder how much injury time there is to play. DCU have made a change. Coming in, Fintan McGibb going off. James Bergen.
Yeah, well, in fairness to Killian O'Dwyer, he's had a very, very good second half on James Bergen, who was probably DCU's best player in the first half.
Will we have a winner in normal time? UCC go with the short puck out. It's a dangerous tactic. Downey looking down the line for O'Halloran, who's lost it. Rian McBride pounces. Bit of a blind hand pass. It almost came to Kingston. It might still come to Kingston. Scooped forward by UCC.
Possession absolutely vital, and DCU have it.
Furman into the corner. The man who's just in is McGibb. He's got pace, we know that. Goes out off a UCC stick, I think. The referee is saying,
I think it
9-ball DCU, yes.
Yeah, I think it. I'd like to see it again. I thought it went off of Fintan.
Let's have a look again.
Hard to see. I thought it went off the DCU foot, to be honest. But in any event, I'm not the linesman. It's a DCU ball and possession at the right end of the field.
Here's John Donnelly. Will he go for it or will he work it?
I don't think it's possible for him to go for it, actually. Well, it's possible for him to go for it, but it would be the wrong option, I think, Oisin. This ball, really, he needs to keep it in play and keep it well left.
Fitzgibbon has had to go off. Andrew Casey has gone off. Donnelly hasn't gone for it. He's looked for the man. UCC look to try and get it back. Conway is back there battling for it.
Possession vital.
Montgomery can't get it into the hand. It is Donnelly, but he's going away from goal. Gives it back to Paddy Smith. Paddy Smith's looking for options, finds one. Here's Rory O'Connor. Rory O'Connor, can he win a free? Gets the hand pass inside again. It's blind from DCU, but there's so many players around. It's hard to know what you could do. Here's now Neil Montgomery. Comes to Andrew Casey, who's just off the bench.
DCU fighting hard, and possession again vital. This is just
I think we are going to go to extra time. Free in! Oh! Into the final. They've actually given it across to Adrian Mullen. Mullen from a long way out to win it, has hit it wide.
Great chance by Mullen. I mean, it was a great option, a quick free across Mullen in all kinds of space, and I'd say that'll be it.
Maybe Paddy O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin goes long. Is there one last chance? Looked like there was a free there because Mark Keogh had arms on his shoulders. It will be a line ball for UCC.
This is where when you have Mark Coleman on your side, this is when you have a chance.
Coleman is the shout. Coleman is the shout from the UCC bench. He's walking up to this one like he knows this is the last strike, so he should take his time over it.
Yeah, well, I think he'll have the range here, Oisín. It's the question whether he'll be able to deal with the crosswind. Be some way to win it if he could pull this one out of the bag.
This is like trying to nail a putt to win the Masters, but from the bunker. Shane Lowry would fancy it. Mark Coleman gets the height, gets the elevation, gets the point. Mark Coleman, in the most dramatic of circumstances, has likely sealed UCC's spot in the final. Will Fergal Horgan get DCU Dunkersair in one last chance?
It looks like
there's a free. Has Mark Coleman just written himself into Fitzgibbon Cup folklore? Time's up. Say the UCC bench.
Fergal Horgan is moving this forward for UCC not getting out of the way.
The goalkeeper is going to go for it. Have they gone from the bunker to the final? Although ironically it's actually the other side of the pitch that's known as the bunker. So Oisín Foley to try and equalise, or at the very least drop it in.
If UCC can...
Darren Mullen. Mullen's going to launch it. Mullen from a really long way out. That's going off frame. Everyone is chasing after it. To quote your own manager, it's like sheep in a heap. UCC, the defending champions, are back in the final. Mark Coleman with the line ball in a game that came right down to the wire has sent them through. Nicky English, that is spectacular. That is amazing. That is the Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup.
That's what it's all about. What a finish to that. I mean, it looked to me most of the time through the second half that DCU had that game in the bag. They went 4 points in front. UCC looked completely out of it. You know, they made a couple of substitutions, edged their way back into it. DCU had a chance to win it with Darren Mullen's shot. It looked like at that stage it was going to end in a draw. And UCC win a line ball, and Mark Coleman steps up from the 45-metre line, and you just couldn't believe how tough the conditions were. To hit it out of your hand over the bar would have been a difficult task, but he came up and cut the sideline ball straight over the bar. Just in incredible way to win what was an incredible game.
Well, let's have another look. This is a clip you're going to see quite a lot. Mark Coleman walked up to this one cool as you like he was on the golf course, and he to keep that cool under that pressure and to execute that kind of skill in such circumstances, that is amazing.
There are very few players in the country that could do that, and he's actually one of them. And you know, we heard the shout from the UCC bench just before when they won the line ball that looking for Mark Coleman to step up. He was tired. He's after working hard there for 60 minutes, stepped up, walked up to the sideline ball, and hit it clean as a whistle over the bars. Outstanding piece of skill. Here we go again. Watch. But he's
worth another look, isn't it?
He just is one of the greatest exponents that I've ever seen at this at that particular element of the game. Outstanding player, and that's just that will be remembered for years. That in UCC folklore.
And he just looks like he's cool as a breeze. He's going to come over and have a chat with us hopefully in a minute or two. But Nicky, like, before you go through the story of the game, is it fair to say that DCU Docus Éireann will feel sickened? They'll feel that this is one that they should have won.
Well, I think so. I think they started poorly. They had a load of wides starting off, kind of lost confidence, then got back into it before half time, and I'm sure they'd have been delighted to get in at half time level. And as you know, from there on, then they took complete control, and they had got themselves into a winning position. But in fairness to UCC, they showed a lot of fight. There's that's a succession of frees from Rory O'Connor, to start off. Shane Conway got him back in and got him back to one, to keep him in. But there's Rory O'Connor, he's striking from frees, and UCC at that stage were, giving away some soft frees, and he was punishing them. And really, the only outlet they had were frees from Shane Conway. He managed to keep him involved in it. But then Niall Montgomery came in, won that previous free, and then got this excellent score, soon to be followed by his other compatriot Michael O'Halloran, picking up that ball, great speed to get away and get room for the shot and get it over, and then this is great save by Hurley in the UCC goal. He had been out on the side, and here's Montgomery again. He had a great impact on the game, winning the free, and that's his second point in short space. Here he goes again. Nearly gets a goal on this stage, on this particular stage, just outside the post. And Mark Kehoe, this to tie it up from the far sideline. Hadn't been much involved in the game, but that was an outstanding point. And here's Mark with the sideline, and see Oisin is just lining him up for interview down below here. But watch this one again, absolutely superb.
Well, we're joined by Mark Coleman, the man of the moment. Mark Coleman, UCC back in the Electric Ireland Fitzgibbon Cup final. You're going for yet another title, but the takeaway from this game will be your point at the end from that line ball. Talk us through it.
I don't know, it's a bit vague even at the moment, but yeah, I suppose we did very well to kind of get ourselves back into the game. We kind of had a good hold in the first half, and they came back in. They kind of pulled ahead a few points in the second half, and we pulled ourselves back into it, thank God, just to give me that kind of opportunity at the end. And I suppose it was just a bit lucky in the end. If you asked me to do it another time, I wouldn't get it in 100 shots. So I was just
normally I'd believe someone when they said that, but I think you'd probably nail 7 out of 10. I mean, how much work do you put into line balls? Because it's very obvious it's a real skill of yours. It's something that you're really expert at.
Well, I suppose it's not something I practice hugely. It's just once you have the technique, it's just a matter of topping up in it. This time of year, I probably haven't hit much of them at all, so I was surprised it even got off the ground, to be honest. So I was happy enough, yeah.
You're modest, I'll give you that. Talk to me about the emotion at the end, the full-time whistle, and the reaction, because I think it's fair to say you were behind for most of the second half and it didn't look good at times.
Yeah, definitely not, but I suppose we just tried to stick to our game plan, really. That's really when things are going bad for us, that kind of is something to fall back on, and thankfully it pulled us back into the game. But it's very similar to last year, a tough game, really went down to the wire again, so we're just delighted to come up on top again.
You're back here, I think, on Wednesday night for the final against IT Carlow. That will be a tough one.
Definitely, we expect more of the same as tonight, so just about recovery, getting right. It's a quick turnaround, so just try and get right for that now again and go at it again, try and retain the title.
Mark, congratulations on the win and the manner of the win. A spectacular point to win it in the end. Mark Coleman, the UCC hero of the hour there. You won't want to hear that because you don't like individual accolades. Tom Kingston is just behind us here. We'll go over and get him. He is doing an interview at the moment, so we are going to have to pull him away. I'm not even sure which camera I'm looking at, and as you can